If you can get these 3 things right, then you will be off to the races and your Etsy shop will start to make you a consistent side income and even eventually be able to replace your full-time income. I'm going to take the last 3 years of experience that I have on Etsy and turn it into a 3-part framework that I would use to start an Etsy and print-on-demand business if I was starting over completely from scratch today. I call this framework the POD roadmap because that is exactly what my course is called. And I've taught this framework and more to over 230 students in the last year. So there are 3 parts to this framework when you're starting completely from zero with no experience on Etsy and print on demand. If you somehow got to this video though and you don't know what print on demand is, that is what I've used to be able to grow an over $750,000 in revenue Etsy shop over the last 3 years. And this is a process where you actually create designs for items, post them for sale on Etsy, but when you get an order, you don't have to actually go print and ship that item. You use a company like Printify to actually do that integration for you. All you need to do is connect Etsy to the printify.com account, which I'll have linked down below with a 30-day free trial for the premium account as well for you using code CASSIE30. And they will take care of all of the production, the shipping, and even updating the tracking numbers on Etsy for you. But now that you're familiar with what print on demand is, let's start with level 1, which is just move. And stay until the end because I'll also share the biggest mistake that I see a lot of new Etsy sellers making and how to avoid it. So just move. The biggest thing that I see holding new people back from getting into Etsy and print on demand is getting started in the first place. This is what I think I actually got right when I started 3 years ago, is I opened up my Etsy and my Printify accounts the very same day that I watched a YouTube video much like this. You don't need to do weeks of research before getting started because you don't even know if you like it yet. If you've been watching tons of Etsy and print on demand videos and now you've found this one, but you haven't even opened your Etsy account yet, then it's probably because you're overthinking things. You're probably wondering, what if people don't like my stuff? What if I never sell anything? What will my friends, family, or coworkers think? But these are all things that are just holding you back. So that's why level 1 is just move. Just go into it knowing, hey, I might be terrible at this when I first get started, but that's because I'm still learning. Just like any other new thing that I've had to learn the rest of my life. It always gets easier with practice. Your first goal should just be to get 10 listings up for sale on Etsy. Make it your goal to do just 1 a day if that's all you have the bandwidth for. Starting an Etsy store is a lifestyle choice. This is you committing to making new listings every week for the next few years of your life. So it's worth trying a few listings and really giving it a go to see how you even feel about it. Then after that, you can decide if you want to be in a casual relationship with Etsy or a serious relationship with Etsy. A casual relationship would be you do listings here and there as inspiration strikes. Serious is I'm committed to this, and that is what I'd choose if I started over again today. And just like any serious relationship, you want to commit to seeing them weekly. So I'd commit to doing at least 10 new listings every single week while you're learning how everything works and learning. That way you're not just learning and not applying anything, because then you're just going to have to relearn it all again once you actually get moving. So actually start making these listings as you figure out how to use the design software, connect all the softwares, make shirt designs, etc. Etsy shops don't just grow on accident. People don't just get lucky and all of a sudden have consistent sales on Etsy and be able to replace their full-time income. They're grown from putting in consistent work. And now that I've committed to taking Etsy seriously, it's time to move on to level 2, which is get better slowly. I want you to work on your next 50 listings, whether that's 10 a week or 50 in a week. And I want you to look at these as your only goal is to learn and get better. There are a lot of skills that are wrapped up in building a print-on-demand and Etsy store. There's search engine optimization, designing, niche research, mock-ups, understanding the analytics, learning how to run sales, learning how to use ads, branding your store, learning how to be efficient with your time because no one's holding you accountable anymore. are. There are just so many skills that go into building a successful print-on-demand store. Again, in this scenario, you're starting completely from scratch, and that's where I started 3 years ago. I didn't have any design experience or experience with any of this stuff when I started either, so don't worry, you can learn all these things, you just have to be patient. So the next 50 listings, I don't want you to worry about what your niche is going to be. I want you to try lots of different niches that you find there's already demand for on Etsy and make designs for them. You can even think of things that you are passionate about or know about in your own life. Maybe you really like playing pickleball, so you make a shirt about that. It doesn't matter as much what the shirts are about. I just want you to start learning the process and getting used to actually making designs and listing them in the first place. I want you to avoid overthinking in this stage. This is going to be the part in your new serious relationship where Etsy gets to know you and you get to know Etsy. You'll probably also have to tackle some of getting to know yourself a little bit better and have to overcome the fear of what people will think of you, your own self-doubt, and all the emotional hurdles that come along with starting your own business for the first time. At this point now, you've got 60 listings up in your store, and now hopefully you've gotten your very first sale. You've learned a lot about yourself and are feeling much more confident in the process and that this is for you. At this point, it's time to decide if you want to treat this more like a hobby or more like a business. If you decide at this point to treat it more like a hobby, that's totally fine. But if you decide to treat it more like a business, just like I did, and then that's what's going to lead us on to level 3, which is get strategic. So far with our first 60 listings, we've just been testing this out to see if it's for us. Get the process down and hopefully just prove to ourselves that it's possible. But to really grow an Etsy store that can make us hundreds or even thousands a month, then now it's time to really get strategic and understand how to play the game of Etsy. There's basically 3 things that go into having a successful Etsy shop, and if you can get these 3 things right, then you will do great. Those 3 things are getting people to click, getting those people to buy, and then getting good reviews. First is getting people to click. This means focusing on things like your thumbnail, your title, your design, and your niche research. No one's ever going to buy your shirt unless they click on your shirt, because Etsy's a marketplace where people come there with something specific in mind. They type that into the search bar, they look through the results of you compared to everyone else around you, they click one, and then they buy it. So you need to earn that click. Your designs need to be big, bold, and easy to read, but not just that, they need to add value and give them a reason to click your listing over everyone else around you. If your listing looks just like everyone else's, then that doesn't give them any reason to stop scrolling and click your listing. So on top of being easy to read from the tiny thumbnail on someone's phone, since that's how most people shop these days, it really needs to add value. Some of my favorite ways to add value are by looking at what is already there for sale for that one search result and seeing if I can turn something into matching shirts. If all of the rest of the search result is just a single shirt, I love to see if there's ways to make it couples matching shirts, best friend matching shirts, mommy and me matching shirts. There's tons of different ways that it can go, or you can do cross niching. So let's say for the plant niche, instead of making a shirt just about plant lovers, you could also make it about people who love plants and cats, for example. Second, we have how to get people to convert. Etsy really cares about how many people click your listing actually end up buying, because Etsy is here to make money as well. So if they see that for every 10 people that click on your listing, they know if they show it to more people, that more people will actually purchase it. So they'll slowly move your listing closer and closer to that first page and even that top of that first page on Etsy. Some ways to get more people to convert is by having 4 to 6 photos within your listing so the customer can really get an idea of what you have to offer and what it looks like for them. This should be some really beautiful product photos of your items, and you can get great mock-ups for almost any item that you'd ever want to sell. Just go to Etsy and type in the item that you're selling, mock-ups, and you should see some great, beautiful options. You should also have a size chart if that applies, if you're selling something like apparel, so they can make sure that it's going to fit them once they get it. And any photos that would answer questions that your customer might have, then a great way to figure out what customers' hot and cold points are go to your competitors and look through their reviews and see the things that customers rave about and the things that customers complain about, and make sure to address that in your photos to make sure that they're much more likely to convert once they come to your listing. So now that you have your customers clicking on your listings and then buying your listings, we need to make sure that you're getting those good reviews after. Etsy's a platform where reviews are super important because most items are handmade and customers really like to see what they're getting and make sure that other people have been happy with what they've purchased from you. So first, I want you to download download the Etsy app on your phone. That way you can get back to customers' questions super quickly. And then after you get orders, you're going to be messaging them right after they order to make sure that they know you got the order and give them an idea of what to expect. And I'll link down below my customer service guide that actually has templates for these messages. But just know that Etsy has recently changed and customers can't leave a review until somewhere between 7 and 14 days after delivery. So don't message people the day after they get delivery. Wait about a week to send that message. And for those of you that are still here, I said I'd share the biggest mistake that I see new Etsy sellers making. I see a lot of new Etsy sellers not treating Etsy like the business that it is. If you do your Etsy research right in the beginning and see what successful shops are already doing and implement some of those same strategies in your store, then you can much more quickly than otherwise start to really understand that there is a formula to success on Etsy. But when you pair this with the value-adding advice that I gave you earlier, then you can have a deadly combination that will help you fast-track your success on Etsy. So once you've figured out your strategy, you're going to find out that it takes a large amount of time to build up an Etsy and print-on-demand business like this, especially in your first year when you're scaling it up for the first time. Because most of you aren't going to be able to do this full-time right out of the gate. So you're probably only going to be doing this business in small pockets of your time. You'll probably have maybe 5 to 10 hours a week to put into this. But what I've learned over the last 3 years of selling on Etsy is that if I built systems that I could follow to stop wasting time on things that didn't actually move the needle, then I actually could get it all done. Because again, we want to treat this like a business. You have to figure out what works and then make it repeatable. That way you can put it on autopilot. Now, if you've gotten to the end of this video and you're interested in setting up systems on Etsy that will save you tons of time, then that's exactly what I built my course, the POD Roadmap, for. I've built lots of systems and strategies for my own Etsy and print-on-demand business over the last 3 years, which has allowed me to grow my business to over $750,000 in revenue. But I've also taught these strategies to over 230 students in my course so far, and they've gone on to get their first sales, their first 100 sales, and even some getting 5- and 6-figure months with their business because they've made all their decisions for their business based on research and strategies instead of just trying things and hoping that it worked. And just because I'm so confident that you're going to love my course and it will help you move the needle and have an easier, happier time selling on Etsy, I do offer a full 7-day, no questions asked refund policy. If you don't see the value in my course, just email me within 7 days, give me my money, and I'll give you a full refund. Anyway, if you want more information, everything about my course will be linked down below on my website, 𝗗𝗜𝗏𝗄𝗧johnson.com. Please know that is the only place my course will ever be for sale for. I will have some people in my comments being scammers and pretending to be me, so please do not pay for my course anywhere besides 𝗗𝗜𝗏𝗄𝗧johnson.com. And you might like this video over here where I teach you how to make 100 designs in less than an hour using ChatGPT and Etsy, so go watch that one next if you haven't already. And thank you so much for staying all the way until the end. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.